Hey, that actually pops right up like I want it to. How about that? Okay, so drag this over to here so I can monitor. Hey, that actually
of my
pops right up like I want it. All right. So let's make sure I got all lines of communication up and running the way I want it to be. Okay, there's that, there's that. Okay, and works-ish, I guess. Sure I could see my comments. All right, so let's go ahead and get this started. Welcome to Quit Your Whining Quickie. That's right, we're going to be doing a short edition on the FCC privacy rules that recently got overturned by Trump in Congress. So let's go ahead and dive right into this. Now, the original rules that were created were for the FTC. The FTC rules, not the FCC rules, the FTC rules were rules to protect consumer proprietary information. This information includes social security numbers, credit card information, and bank account information. Now, the difference between the FCC rules and the FTC rules are the FCC rules goes and sets up a new criteria for what is CPI. This includes browser history, including DNS history, GPS information on mobile devices, metadata, app usage, family information, content of communications, including emails and text messaging and things of that nature, health information gleaned from web services. Now, they can't go violate HIPAA by monitoring your medical records, but does it mean they can see what you're looking for on WebMD? And you can also do job search information is also pulled. What the overturning of the rules mean is that the ISPs and cell providers can now sell the information that was previously protected and sell it to a third party for revenue. Currently, there are kind of companies that already do this. Amazon, Google, Facebook, and plenty others already compile information that you compile as information all the time and sell it. Google AdSense does this. Amazon does this by using cookies and things like that, or specifically cookies, not things like that, but cookies. And Facebook does as well. By using these cookies, they can target ads to you. That's why if you were looking up, certain things, let's say you're looking up Star Trek on Amazon, and all of a sudden you're going to be seeing Star Trek things on Facebook, or if you're searching for things on Google for, Star Wars, you're going to get a bunch of suggestions for Star Wars merchandise and Star Wars stuff on Facebook. That's part of how it works. And other sites use these cookies too. Really, it only makes up maybe, I think, about 10% of the internet that uses these cookies, at least from what the government says when they created the original rules. But your ISPs do not keep this data, or at least previously were not keeping this information themselves, because you had terms of service in which if they were going to do this, you would either have to opt in saying you can have my data, or they have to have an opt-out option saying, no, do not collect my data. I don't want you collecting my data. Don't do that. So now with the rules changing, they can go ahead and collect the data anyways. Now, this can be another problem. Mainly, what's going to prevent the government from getting a hold of this data? Now, I know it sounds very big brotherish of me, but in reality, they were kind of already doing that. Remember that big data center out there in Utah that was supposed to collect all this metadata and all this information that the NSA was collecting? Yeah. All of that was actually the same information that these rules were designed to protect. So my question is, if the government can't pull this stuff, if the government themselves are unable to collect this information, what exactly is going to prevent them from going to Verizon or AT&T or someone during an investigation and going, hey, guys, we're investigating these guys. We know you're collecting it now. It's not exactly, it's not exactly a secret. So would you give us that information? that could lead to problems. I mean, it's kind of like the government saying, well, people don't want us collecting it, so let's just let the ISPs do it, and then when we need it, we can go and get it. Yeah, that sets up an extremely dangerous precedent in my mind, and one that really does scare me quite a bit. The other thing that this also will do is, hang on one second. Sorry, I'm trying to log into Skype so people can call in as well. The other thing this can do is provide information on your locations through your cell phones. So they can now track and log your GPS information on your phone. Now, a lot of apps already do that. Google does a lot of apps ask you that before you start using the service. They'll say, hey, we're going to continually pull this information and use it for ad purposes. Are you okay with that? Most people don't read the TOSs that come along with their apps, but it's in there. Now, you don't have to do it. Now, specifically, this does not allow the government to go in and specifically, take and monitor you per se. So it isn't saying, hey, the government go in and take your GPS data, but the mechanism for them to pull it is now existent. So, and there aren't any rules that I'm aware of that says they can't go and get this information. They can't collect it, but doesn't mean they can't go get a warrant and pull this information that someone else is collecting on their behalf. See, they found a way around that. The other thing also is that people are now wondering, how can they possibly protect themselves? What can they do to make sure that what they're doing is outright protected? Well, the good news is there are ways out there to do it. Rule number one, make sure that when you use, number one, get a VPN service. There are many of them out there. They're not that hard to configure. A VPN service will provide you a nice and secure communication channel between you and the internet. Now, what a VPN does is, I don't have any way of illustrating a diagram here, unfortunately. Okay, so let's take my coffee cup here. Okay, so normally you got point A and point B, okay? So let's say I got a Coke bottle here and this here. So normally you have these two things. This is your computer. This is the internet. This is your connection. They can monitor this entire connection between the two pretty easily. What a VPN does is puts this Coke can in the middle of the connection. What this does is this Coke can here will actually encrypt your connection and output everything to the ISP. So all the connections from this VPN service are all the connections to your ISP look like they're coming from, or going to, this VPN service. And the VPN service is technically doing all the DNS resolutions, all the metadata, all that is going through the VPN tunnel, and it is encrypted. So even if they do inspection and packet inspections into the packets to see what's going on, they won't be able to through the VPN tunnel. So it masks your information and masks what you are doing. Now, personally, I don't have any recommendations, unfortunately, for VPN services. I don't use one because, I'll be honest, I'm not that paranoid. But there are some out there. Top VPNs out there right now include services such as, IPVanish, was it Viper VPN, ExpressVPN, PureVPN. What you're going to want to do is look for VPNs that have servers not inside of the United States. If they are out in the U.S., they have to keep logs. It is a law. But if they're based out of Canada or Europe or a lot of European nations, I think some of them are in Norway, the Netherlands, things like that, they don't keep logs, so they have no way of pulling that information if they want to. It will protect you. IPVanish is one, NordVPN. There's a couple others. I think like WinGuard is another one that I know a friend of mine uses. Do some research, do some searching. Some of them are, WinGuard I think is another one. do a search. There's a lot of different VPN providers out there. I do suggest doing plenty of research to make sure they are safe. Now, you're not going to get hacked or anything through the VPN, but you want to make sure performance, because some have very slow performance metrics. Some are pretty fast. I know there's a few that are as fast as your internet you have yourself, but be aware that you can run into some problems with these, especially when you're using YouTube or things like that, because it will appear you came from another country. So if content is region locked, you could be behind that wall because it'll see your connection coming from the Netherlands or something like that instead of coming from the United States or Canada. So beware of that. Now, is this really a rule or something that people should be worried about, in my opinion? Yeah. Mainly because this will enable people to get this information and sell it. And especially since it can track you, and who's to keep them from selling it to people who shouldn't have this information? That worries me a lot, especially the government. There's nothing that prevents them from getting the government or giving it to another entity who gives it to the government on their behalf. Nothing that can stop this. This is scary. This is very dangerous. And I don't know. I know why they got rid of this rule. They say it's in to enable competition and things like that. It's all bullcrap. It's an expansion. I believe, in all honesty, it is an expansion of our spying, the NSA spying program for metadata. Since they can't collect the data, or they'll get in shit for doing it, they're having someone else do it for them. So if you want to protect yourself, get a VPN service. They usually cost you about between $6 to $10 a month. If you're worried about them tracking what you're doing online, use it. If you don't care about them tracking you online or someone collecting your data and getting ads and stuff, don't worry about it, in all honesty. And I don't know if ISPs are really going to take advantage of this, to be honest. Comcast has said they won't sell your personal data. Can you really trust Comcast? Honestly, I don't trust Comcast. They're my ISP. Verizon's pretty much already said they will, and so I believe AT&T has as well. Don't quote me on that. I do believe Verizon has already started an initiative to do this already with some of their phone apps, built-in phone apps. So, all right. So, just to recap, this is bad. If you're worried about it, get a VPN. You want to talk about it some more? Be sure to visit our new website, 4twnetwork.com/QYW. I am working on getting a Quit Your Whining domain up and running. It will be in a few weeks, but we do have a website now, so be sure to use that. All future shows will be on YouTube and will be on Facebook Live. I will no longer be using Ustream, mainly because I've been having performance issues with Ustream. Plus, I want to use YouTube because it's a more popular platform and it has a built-in chat that works really well. So I more want to use that. And I'll still use Facebook Live, considering Facebook is one of my main ways of communicating. So be sure to follow me on Twitter at Admiral Joker. I'm going to be tweeting a lot more. Also, follow me on Facebook at Admiral Joker. And be sure to subscribe to the Admiral Joker YouTube channel, where all future shows, including 4TW, Quit Your Whining, and Techno Ramble, will be showing up first. So thanks. Remember, be careful and be safe out there. Have a good night.